Welcome to Turn Riding Fair Around podcast. I'm very happy to participate in the fourth edition of Podcasthon. For 1 week, thousands of podcasts will highlight a charity of their choice. And today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Kyle from Mareworthy, my absolute favorite charity, as a great bonus podcast to share about his amazing charity. Kyle, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Elise. I'm so honored to be here and grateful for the opportunity to share about Mareworthy. Obviously, you almost have a kind of, if you would think like a beta Mareworthy mare, in the sense of Binky came to you before Mareworthy was even really a thing. So she really started so much of this for us, which is really exciting to think of her being the first mare that I got from Puerto Rico, which resulted in two more mares from Puerto Rico, and one of them being Worthy of Wings, who raced 138 times and ended up being somewhat of the namesake for Mareworthy. We named it after her, and that idea
Well, and
of
I think
yeah,
I think that Binky and Mareworthy, or I think Binky and Worthy raced against each other quite a few times.
they did. I think it was maybe 16 times or so like that, because I think
Yeah.
Binky had 96 races. Most of hers were in Puerto Rico, if I remember correctly, if not all. And Worthy ran 87 times on the mainland and then 51 of them in Puerto Rico. But they were racing around the same time. Secret Paradise, who sadly is no longer with us, but Secret actually raced against them as well. So the three of them, I can't remember if there was a race where all three of them raced together, but I do know they all raced each other, which was really funny to have them all show up at our farm and do that. And then Worthy ended up being the one that kind of started Mareworthy from the mindset of focusing on I think it started with Binky from a standpoint of really shining that light on these mares who are maybe have run longer, they're retiring from racing older, they are not quite as desirable to people as well, they're not as athletic, or they're older. I want the 4 year old, I want the 5 year old. And they have a lot of, sometimes coming off the track that long, they have some baggage. So they're harder to market and find homes for. So we were so grateful that you were jumping up and down for joy with Binky and that she's with you still. And um, it was just a really honoring experience to be able to take her to the makeover and do
Oh
that with
yeah.
her. And really, she was a lot of the catalyst for what ended up being Mareworthy, which of course we've shifted a little bit. Our focus is now on retired broodmare, so still thoroughbred focused. We focus on retired thoroughbred broodmares, but we still have that spot for those mares who are hard-knocking campaigners like Binky and Worthy and Secret, and a lot of them we come across who have hit that 90, 100, 162 races of what Secret had run. Just insane what they run, and then giving them that second chance or that new opportunity. Where we're at, like as far as where we're at today, like I said, we shifted a little bit from the focus of really was warhorse mares who were, those harder to place mares. And we started to realize there was underserved population of broodmares. What happens to the broodmares when they're 16,
Man.
18, 20, and they're done having babies? Where do they go, right? Some of them are, that's we started to see more of them showing up in the slaughter pipelines, and we know that we've pulled, I think 17 is the number that we've pulled in the last 3 years from the kill pens directly,
Wow.
but that's not sustainable. It's a lot, we're looking at upstream. So we're looking at how do we do that and realize that Mareworthy needed to be focused more on sustainable solutions for these brood mares as they retire. And so now we're based, when we started everything, we were in Ohio. And that was when obviously we had
Man.
Binky came through the farm and I was coming down. We were in Kentucky so much. We moved to Kentucky in 2022 is when we officially, December 2022 is when we officially established Mareworthy as a charity. And then March of 2023 is when we actually got our 501(c)(3) status. So we're only coming up on our 3 year mark. In those 3 years, though, we've helped a little over 50 mares, which is pretty exciting.
Wow.
And that's directly. And then we've done a lot more from a marketing perspective. So our goal really is to just raise awareness around let's make retirement plans, right? When you're getting ready you're breeding that mare, are you thinking about when you're going to retire her? Are you thinking through those things and what that might look like? and then making sure we have solutions and programs in place so that when you are ready to retire, it's not just, well, there's nowhere for me to put her. So we launched a platform last year called Mareworthy Match, which is basically like a dating site for people and thoroughbred mares. That's kind of how we think of it. But the mares that are listed are all listed as seeking a human. And then once they are rehomed, their status changes to in a relationship. So we have kind of this fun, like, and that's open to all thoroughbred mares. So we want to make sure that we're thinking that way in the sense of that's an outlet for not just brood mares, but still focused. And then from a standpoint of the people side, right? I know you deal a lot with the mindset of, and I think it's such a great area around fear around horses and overcoming just fears in general and how horses can help with that and anxiety and
Yeah.
all the fun things, right? And a 4-year-old off the track, as we all know, can be a lot to handle. It can be a little
Yeah.
bit harder to get into. I've found getting these older lady mares that they're like the perfect beginner horse because they've had babies, they've raised foals, right? They're a nice entry. So we launched Mareworthy Academy last year, and that is a virtual 8-week course for people who maybe have no horse experience or minimal to learn how to be a horse owner and get some of those foundational pieces, which at the end of the day, it's surround yourself with great people, right? If you have a good
Yeah.
farrier, right? And you have a good veterinarian that you trust and good people to call, that's most of it. And then finding those people to say, hey, you're probably not ready for that 4-year-old off the track as your first horse. But you might be ready for the 18-year-old mare who's had 10 babies and is going to let you do anything to her, which is what we have. We have a program we do called Shed It Sundays in the spring, and we let total beginners come over and they go in the stalls with the horses and just curry the mares. And it's so cool. We don't even need to tie the mares up. They literally just, it's like they're in maternal mode. Like, okay, you don't know what you're doing. That's okay. So we've had a real blessing to have. We have 18 at the farm right now with Mareworthy. And then, so we do have some that are full-time sanctuary, lifetime retirement, others that are available for adoption, and they're kind of moving on that way. And then we do direct placement as much as we can. That direct placement goal is to really help find homes for those mares that maybe aren't coming to our farm, but we can say, hey, like if, for example, if you ever had to find another home for Binky, right? First of all, she'd always be welcome here, and I know she's not going anywhere, but you could list her on there with a match, and then we would help facilitate that and help get her straight from your farm to the new owner's farm, rather than stressing her out with having to move to our farm and then move to another farm. So that's a lot of what we're doing right now.
Do you also do anything with like the nurse, is it nurse mares?
Nurse Mare
Or
still,
the yeah,
yeah,
like when
go ahead, sorry.
no, I just have seen that they're using mares now for orphan foals that they don't have to go through the whole breeding and lose a baby and take a baby off of them and would are retired brood mares good for that kind of thing as well?
They are, and it's something we've looked into. I know Cold Springs Nurse Mares is
Yeah.
doing it on a larger scale. She's been phenomenal at it for years as far as doing that as a model. They hormonally induce them so that they actually are lactating, and then make sure that those mares are usually they're always ones who have had babies before, so you know how they are, and they're more likely. It is a great option for them. The other side of it, we haven't personally gotten into it yet, but we've looked into the logistics of we have these mares available selfishly for myself. So we have the nonprofit. We also have a small for-profit side of things where we breed a few of our own each year and we race them. And so, from that lens of trying to understand the industry and also understand then the challenges and how to solve them, we even, when we have foals coming, we know which ones of the mares in the Mareworthy herd would be candidates for us to we would pay Mareworthy to use as nurse mares rather than have to bring something in from another farm. But we've looked into those. It is a great usage. The other thing that some of our mares, we adopted a 25-year-old mare out 2 years ago. So she's still alive and thriving at her home. But Grisham was a mare who we got from a kill pen, and she's been a nanny now the past two foaling seasons. So then that kind of, when it comes weaning time, they're really great for laying down kind of the law and being a really good transition partner. They have that as definitely an option. But The nurse mare replacement is something that I think we will be tapping into really big in the future and helping educate farms about. Cure is an alternative. You don't have to breed a second foal just to have a lactating mare. You can use hormonal induction to get her lactating. It's expensive, but it is much more ethical. And
Right.
obviously, you can pick a mare who can be older and doesn't have to go through the physical toll of carrying a foal to term just to get it pulled so that she can raise another baby, which is just horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like you've just got so many great ideas and what an amazing mission and helping these, nobody thinks about the broodmares that are retiring.
Right.
And I mean, I've been watching the Keeneland posts you put up and how you track them and talking to the people that are getting them or making sure that you at least are communicating is so much fun to see and to be aware of.
Right. And that's
Um,
a lot of it is the awareness piece of like the Keeneland part. It's really education and awareness, right? So these mares deserve the spotlight. We always talk about their babies. Dear Lord, their babies are racing at the track and everyone's excited or they sell really well. And then they're 18 and okay, well, there is some 18-year-old mare selling for a low price tag. We want to be able to tell their stories because we think that by sharing them and putting them on a spotlight, it also helps that transparency. It's kind of like the effect of going shopping at the mall and they say hello to you, the greeter, right? That says hello to you at the store. They're watching you. You're less likely to shoplift. So that, science shows that if people know you're watching, they're less likely to do bad things. It doesn't mean that people that are getting these horses are all intent going out doing bad things. But if we keep that conversation going and they realize there's people that care about this mare, it also helps them know that, hey, there's another home if I need to. Like these people love this mare. And just even the celebration of that mare and celebrating that, hey, thank you for giving that 18-year-old mare a great home and giving her a retirement spot. And let's celebrate that. Let's celebrate those stories just as much as we celebrate the young horses who sell really expensive or race really well. We can celebrate their moms and their grandmas and their great grandmas the same way as we
yeah.
track them. And it's really awesome to see the community that steps forward and says, wow, I want to celebrate these old ladies just the same. And not all of them are old. We have some that come through that are 6, 7, 8 that just were not, they're not getting pregnant or
Right.
there's whatever it might be. They might not have done well with their first foal. One of our personal mares, we retired because she needed a C-section. And although she could have had another foal potentially, there's always a higher risk. So we said we'd retire her. They're going on to riding homes at 6, 7, 8 and having a long career that way. So it's not always the older mares. It's just we tend to focus there because it's usually the higher risk population. But those young mares too that maybe had high hopes for being a successful broodmare, some of them, you might find a mare like a goalie who ended up competing in the makeover in 2024 in the broodmare division, and she is now running barrels and like ranked nationally. And she was this fat
Wow.
broodmare that's now this really competitive, barrel racer, which is pretty cool to see.
Well, and it's so nice to see the retired racehorse makeover catering to broodmares too. And I'm sure that well, I know you've been very involved in encouraging that and making the mares available to people that want to go down that path.
Right. Yeah, so much of it is it's just like what Retired Racehorse Project started as is increasing demand for thoroughbreds and second careers. And we're now kind of in a little bit of a niche of that of increasing demand for brood mares in second careers or third careers, if you want to look at it that way. And so we having that as an option. We're also getting ready this year. You'll hear it first here, but we are in the planning stages of planning the first Miss Mareworthy pageant. So we want to do an
Ah.
in-hand competition exclusive to thoroughbred. We haven't decided if it'll be thoroughbred mares or thoroughbred brood mares for the first year, but something virtual that people will be able to get involved in and, just do a runway walk with your mare, a costume class, submit your videos. We'll have a fun time doing that. And then maybe eventually make that something in person that we can have this kind of big national stage or regional stage for. There's another reason. You don't have to ride to have a horse. We all think that you have to ride when you have a horse. Lord knows I have 31 standing on our farm, and I haven't ridden in 4 years. So other things take priority. My age, my weight, my physical abilities, my confidence, right? They all play in a mindset. And so I also realize that what gives me the most satisfaction is just going in the field at night and grooming and hanging with them. So if we can celebrate that too, it finds those again, increases demand for that retired broodmare to say, hey, she's eligible for the thoroughbred makeover, which is awesome. You're going to go do dressage with her, and this one, she's got an old, sesamoid issue or whatever it might be, and she's still pasture sound. She's comfortable, but we don't know that you want to be riding her. Hey, you can come and do this fun little in hand, pageant, and she might become Miss Mareworthy and get her sash. So that's kind of our goal is to find ways for us to celebrate them and let people celebrate their relationships with them and have an outlet for people to say, "Oh, I need to get a retired broodmare because I want to compete in that Miss Mareworthy pageant." So that's the big dream that we hope will come to fruition later this year.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah.
That is really, really fun.
Stay tuned for
I
that
know.
for sure.
Yeah, I know. I know Binky is one of those that physically was so challenged,
Yep.
and she's the first one. Ride me, pick me. I want to go riding, and I'm like, you can't. I'm
Yep.
sorry. So I do like 5 or 10 minutes on her, and she's like, yay! But
Yeah.
she's not one that can withstand a lot of riding,
Right. And
and
it's
yet, and that she wants it. She's like,
yeah.
pick me.
Well, when you think about it, it's no different than like a professional or a college athlete, right? She
Right.
raced 96 times. Her life was at the track. And so for her, like she gets excited yes, some of them get a little anxious excited. Some of them get excited just because it's I want to do that. It's no different than me who used to do 8 or 9 triathlons in a year and I was competing and riding horses and now I'm like, can I walk to the end of the driveway today? I don't know if I can, right? I want to, but my body says, oh, you probably shouldn't. So it's, I force
Yeah.
myself to move a little more. And Binky's in that same kind of, or she wants to,
Yep.
it's what she knows, and which, but it's also, okay, we're not going to push you past your, here you go. That's what you can do. You can wear a we'll go on a short little ride and you'll be great. But knowing their limits and knowing that there's value in the other things too, is what's so exciting. It is riding is such an amazing feeling and a bond with a horse to be able to be like they trust you and you trust them enough to sit on them and move together. There's also that part too that sometimes it's like we forget the relationship from the ground and how important that is.
Yeah.
And I love those horses that seek out like Binky, right? Like, I want to do it. I got this. I remember riding her at the makeover and think she just gave her all. She didn't, it was like even just getting on the trailer with her, her old infirmities and, getting her stepping up into a trailer because she's got no flexion, right? She's got to lift her whole shoulder. It's a lot harder. I feel for her at this point in life.
Yeah, so talk just a quick summary on all the ways people can be involved with Mareworthy, because I know you have a number of different ways.
Yeah, so following us on Facebook is probably the best way to know what's going on
Yeah.
currently. And so that's just we're Mareworthy, Mareworthy on Facebook. That's also our web domain. So mareworthy.com is where they can find us there. We have links on that site for people to sign up to volunteer. So if you're local to Central Kentucky, we always welcome people to come volunteer at the farm. Sometimes volunteering is just grooming horses. Sometimes it's mending fences. Right now, it's no one's going anywhere because we're sitting in snow. But other than that, we have those opportunities. We also have some virtual volunteers that do things virtually, like help us get handwritten notes out to donors.
Mhm.
Obviously, we are 100% fully funded from donations, and we did start getting some grant money in the last year because of we're eligible at this point. But donors are what sustain us. So we are fully volunteer run in the sense of Sean and I do all the day-to-day work, fully volunteer. There are no expenses from Airworthy from actual overhead in that sense for labor, but we are volunteer run, which means all those donations do go directly to the horses and programs. So on the mareworthy.com website, you can find a donate page. And then the last piece that's really there to get engaged with is Pasture Pals, which is our
Yeah.
recurring donor program. And that's been shifting a little bit. This year, we're rolling out a rewards program there too, which we're pretty stoked about. So people who are recurring donors will be able to redeem rewards to come to the farm and do other fun activities and get swag. But those are our recurring donors, and we have about 100 and just under 150. We're at 147, I think, yesterday, and we're aiming to hit 200 before the end of the year. They are really that inner circle of people who pick a stall, and then whatever horses move through that stall, they get to follow and get updates on. So I would say those are your best ways to get engaged. Or on Facebook, we're there the most. On our website, where you can find to donate, volunteer, or become a Pasture Pal.
And I'll definitely put all the links in the
That'd be great.
description so
Yeah,
everybody will have that.
thank
And
you.
I I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to wrap up. Um, if you've enjoyed this, feel free to visit www.podcasthon.org and discover all the charities that there's so many podcasters out there. We have over 2,000 podcasters right now, each with their favorite charity. And it's a week in March. I'll put more information in the description. And we just really want everybody to at least check out the charities and enjoy our favorite charities. And I would love to get Mareworthy over 200 by the end of March, not the end of the year. So
We would love that.
get those pasture pals in. Thank you so much, Kyle. I really appreciate it. And you have a great night.